Manchester United are 48 hours away from the final home game of their Premier League season. The visitors are Nottingham Forest. The occasion is enormous, not just because of the 3 points on offer, not just because of the Champions League qualification already secured, but because of everything that is being decided behind closed doors right now. The manager question, the player departures, the summer recruitment plans, the identity of this football club going forward. Everything is moving at once. And today, on Friday the 15th of May 2026, the picture became significantly clearer. Michael Carrick sat in front of the cameras at Carrington and spoke. He was calm, he was measured, he was in control. And in those few minutes, he told Manchester United supporters almost everything they needed to know about where this club stands right now. But before Carrick even opened his mouth, information was already moving across social media. Reports were landing, journalists were speaking, former players were commenting. And the transfer machine, the one that never really switches off at this level of football, was already spinning for the summer ahead. This is not one story. This is the full picture of where Manchester United are today, and I am going to take you through every single part of it. Think about where Manchester United were when Michael Carrick walked through the door in January. Ruben Amorim had just left after 14 months. The club was in chaos. There was no direction, no confidence, no clarity. The top four felt like a dream. The Champions League felt even further away. The situation at that moment was genuinely dangerous for the long-term future of this club. Missing out on Champions League football again would have meant less revenue, less ability to attract top players, and less leverage in the transfer market. The financial and sporting consequences would have been felt for years. What has happened since then is remarkable by any honest measure. 10 wins from 15 Premier League matches under Carrick, a place in the top four secured. Champions League football confirmed for next season. That is the platform everything else now stands on. And now, as this season reaches its final moments, the decisions being made this week will shape Manchester United for the next several years. Who stays in the dugout? Who leaves the squad? Who comes in? These are not small questions. These are the questions that define eras. If you want analysis like this broken down clearly and honestly, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel covers Manchester United stories without the noise and without the agenda. Just clear thinking and honest analysis. Subscribe and stay for the full picture. Let us start with the biggest development of the day. And I want to be precise with this because the language matters. Ben Jacobs, a respected figure in this space, posted information that stops this particular debate in its tracks. The message was direct. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has now approved the appointment of Michael Carrick beyond this season. Formal talks are ongoing over a 2+1 year contract. The hope is that a deal could be confirmed before the season ends, though points still remain to be clarified. Read that again carefully. Ratcliffe has approved the appointment. That is not speculation. That is not a rumour. That is the word approved being used in connection with a permanent decision. Formal talks are already happening. The structure of the deal, 2 years with an option for a third, has already been discussed. Now, the caveat here is important. Points still need to be clarified. That means nothing is signed yet. That means the process is ongoing, but the direction of travel is completely clear. The question is no longer whether Carrick gets the job. The question is when the announcement comes. The situation is that Manchester United have watched this man transform their season in real time, and the people at the top of this football club have made their judgment. Ratcliffe, who has been cautious and measured throughout his ownership, has landed on Carrick as the right man to lead this club into the next chapter. That is enormous. That is the kind of decision that defines a summer. And it makes sense when you look at the Sir Jim Ratcliffe interview that fed into the reporting around this story. Ratcliffe spoke to the Times and said something that tells you everything. He said, for whatever reason, we did not see it before Christmas, but Michael has brought out the best. That is a man acknowledging publicly that he missed something. That is a man giving credit where it is due. And it is also a man quietly setting up the narrative for what comes next. The reality for the club is that Ratcliffe now faces an interesting position. He cannot simply say Michael Carrick was always the plan, because clearly Carrick was brought in as an interim solution. He was there to plug a gap. But what Carrick has done is make the gap disappear. He has not just held the fort, he has built something. And now the people in charge have to respond to that honestly. The evidence suggests they are doing exactly that. Now let us move to the press conference itself. Because Michael Carrick said several things today that deserve proper attention. The United Stand reported Carrick's injury update on Casemiro. Carrick said Casemiro is available. He then said, and I want you to hear these words clearly, he said that since he arrived and met Casemiro and worked with him, Casemiro has been fantastic. For him personally, for the group, for what he has given. He said that certainty helps, knowing the situation, for Casemiro and for the staff. For Casemiro to get to a place where he can give absolutely everything, knowing it is going to come to an end. He praised Casemiro for the way he has gone about that. He said it is easy to go the other way, but Casemiro has been fully invested and fully supported. Now listen to what is happening here on multiple levels. Carrick is confirming Casemiro is fit and available for Sunday. That is the practical football information, but he is also doing something more thoughtful than that. He is publicly honouring this player. He is marking this moment. He is telling the supporters and telling Casemiro directly that what he has given to this club in these final months has been seen, valued and respected. Casemiro is leaving Manchester United in the summer. That is confirmed. He is in the final 2 Premier League matches of his time at this football club. Sunday against Nottingham Forest will be his final home game at Old Trafford. That is a significant moment in itself. And the way Carrick has handled it says something about the kind of manager he is. He has not allowed the situation to become awkward or difficult. He has managed it with honesty and dignity. Casemiro knows the position. The staff know the position. And because everyone understands the reality, Casemiro has been able to give everything rather than drift through his final weeks. That is management. That is leadership. And it is another data point in the case for why Carrick is getting the permanent job. Jamie Carragher also spoke about Casemiro today, and his words were interesting. Carragher said his 2024 remarks were not personal. He described Casemiro as one of the best players of his generation. He said those critical comments were made with a feeling of reluctance and sadness, based on what United needed to get back to a level where they are challenging for the league title and the Champions League. He added, though, that the club is still some way from doing that. That last line from Carragher is honest, and it is worth acknowledging. Getting back into the Champions League is a step in the right direction, but challenging for the Premier League title is a completely different conversation. The evidence suggests United are rebuilding, not yet competing at the very top level, and Carragher, whatever people think of him, is calling that accurately. Carragher also spoke about what this job means to him personally. The United stand shared these words, and they carry real weight. Carragher said it is a unique football club, a special club. He said he is immensely proud to have come back and been a part of it, to help as a supporter and as an ex-player. He said coming back and moving forward was important to him. He said getting back into the Champions League is a big step, and the work done so far is something he is genuinely happy with. This is not a man who sounds like he is preparing to leave. This is a man who sounds like he is preparing to stay. The emotional connection is real. The commitment is real. And when you combine that with the Ben Jacobs report about approved appointments and formal talks, the picture becomes very difficult to interpret in any other direction. Simply United shared another Carrick quote from the press conference that speaks to his managerial philosophy. He said the club must always aim higher. For the players, for the entire group, and for the club. The goal is to continue progressing. He acknowledged that the closer you get to the top, the less margin there is for progress. But he said it is precisely that progress that the club is targeting. That is a statement of intent. That is a manager setting the standard, not just for this season, but for what comes next. He is not satisfied with a top 4 finish. He is framing this as the beginning of a longer journey upward. And that framing, coming from the man who is about to be confirmed as the permanent head coach, tells you exactly what direction this club is heading. Carrick was also asked about assistant coach Steve Holland, and his response was generous and revealing. Centre Devils reported his words in full. He said, Steve Holland has been fantastic. He has experience. He has seen everything. Good times and challenging times. Carrick called Holland a very wise man who says important things at the right moments. He praised the general calmness and composure Holland brings, not just to the staff, but to the players as well. He said there is no shame in leaning on someone with that level of experience. The situation is that Carrick came into this role as a relatively inexperienced manager at the top level. Bringing in someone like Steve Holland, a man who has operated at the highest level for decades, was a smart move, and the way Carrick speaks about it publicly reflects genuine self-awareness. He is not trying to project an image of knowing everything. He is acknowledging that surrounding yourself with experience is a strength, not a weakness. That kind of honesty and maturity is rare in football management. It is also, if we are being analytical about it, Exactly the kind of quality you want in a head coach who is going to be making hundreds of decisions over the next 2 or 3 years. Now let us turn to what is happening away from the manager story, because the transfer picture is beginning to take shape in important ways. And I want to be very clear about what is confirmed, what is being reported, and what remains uncertain. Stretford End reported that Manchester United have made inquiries about Nottingham Forest fullback Neco Williams. The report says United are assessing defensive reinforcements ahead of the summer window. However, and this is the critical part, Nottingham Forest are determined to keep Williams and are already working to secure his long-term future at the club. So, to be clear about what this tells us, Manchester United are looking at the right-back position as an area that needs strengthening. They have done initial work by asking questions about Williams, but at this stage, Forest's position is firm. This is a rumour in the sense that no bid has been made and no negotiation is underway. It is an expression of interest that has been checked against availability. And the answer so far appears to be that Williams is not available. This does not mean the situation cannot change. But right now, the evidence suggests United will need to look elsewhere if they want reinforcement in that area of the pitch. Moving to central midfield, which is the most urgent area of business for this summer, Casemiro is leaving. That creates an immediate gap in the squad, and multiple voices are now weighing in on who could fill that role. Journalist Laurie Whitwell, as reported by Manchester United Forever, was direct about the situation. He said there is an awareness at the club that Casemiro needs to be replaced immediately. At least one midfielder needs to come in. He described a quick movement on that front as something to be anticipated, and he said work has already been done toward that end. His specific name to watch is Carlos Baleba from Brighton. He said United got close to Baleba last year, and while Baleba has not had a great season overall, he is finishing it strongly. Whitwell said he could see United moving for Baleba because of that prior interest and the way things are developing. This is important context. Carlos Baleba is not confirmed as a target. This is a journalist's reading of the situation based on his knowledge of what happened last summer. But when a journalist of Whitwell's standing says United got close to a player last year and that there has been work done this time around, that deserves serious attention. File Baleba as a name to watch, not a done deal. Transfer News Live also reported that United are monitoring Morten Hjulmand, the Sporting Lisbon and Denmark midfielder. However, the same report is clear that Hjulmand is not necessarily at the top of the list right now. He is described as a player the club has explored should other options become blocked. Sporting are open to doing business for a fee below his €80 million release clause. So again, to be precise, this is a monitoring situation, a contingency option. United are doing their due diligence on multiple midfield targets. So Hjulmand is one name on a longer list, not the priority. The most interesting transfer development of the day, however, involves Aurelien Tchouameni of Real Madrid. Journalist Laurie Whitwell, as reported by United Exclusive, said Tchouameni is definitely high in United's thinking. He noted that the situation around Tchouameni at Real Madrid is complicated, referencing what he described as a massive falling out with Valverde. He said it did not feel like Tchouameni wanted to leave, but this situation has changed things. Whitwell was careful with his language, and I want to be careful with mine too. He compared the situation to the Frenkie de Jong saga, where there was a lot of interest and noise, but ultimately de Jong stayed where he was. He raised the possibility of a new contract at Real Madrid coming into play for Tchouameni as well. The evidence suggests United are monitoring Tchouameni seriously and are ready to act if there is a clear indication he wants to leave. But there is no confirmation of a bid, there is no confirmation of talks, and there is a real possibility this does not happen if Real Madrid offer him a new deal and he stays. This is a rumour with credible sourcing. Treat it with appropriate caution. The situation could develop very quickly in either direction. Now let us take a moment with a story that is easy to scroll past but genuinely matters for the long-term future of this football club. ESPN UK reported that 15-year-old Gabriel registered 26 goals and assists in 24 games for Manchester United's under-18s this season. 26 goal contributions in 24 games at 15 years old. That is not just impressive, that is extraordinary. For context, that is more than one direct contribution per game, at an age when most teenagers are still finding their feet in academy football. United lost the FA Youth Cup final this season, which is obviously disappointing. Gabriel did not get his hands on a trophy. But what he has shown throughout this campaign is the kind of raw talent that does not come around often. The situation is that Manchester United have a potential star developing within their own academy system that matters both for the immediate future and for the club's long-term identity. Gabriel has also dropped a cryptic message about an Old Trafford appearance, which suggests the club may be looking at ways to give him a moment in front of the first-team supporters even this season. Nothing is confirmed on that front, but it is a story worth following closely. Mason Mount spoke about Benjamin Sesko, and his words were striking. As reported by United Truthful, Mount said Sesko could definitely be one of the best strikers in the world if he carries on developing. He said Sesko has all the attributes. He praised his finishing, his aerial ability, and his hold-up play. He highlighted the Brentford goal specifically, noting how Sesko cut inside without needing a big backlift, and the sheer power with which the ball hit the net. Coming from a teammate, this kind of praise carries real weight. Mount is not doing a media exercise here. He is speaking from what he has seen in training and in matches every single week. When a player of Mason Mount's experience says a teammate could be one of the best strikers in the world, that is worth taking seriously. The reality for the club is that keeping Sesko fit and developing over the coming season will be one of the most important tasks on the football staff's agenda. He was injured for the Forest game this weekend, which Carrick confirmed at the press conference. The shin problem he aggravated against Liverpool is not yet fully resolved. He will not be 100% for Sunday, but the talent is beyond question. And if he stays healthy, the ceiling for what Sesko can become at Manchester United is genuinely exciting. Bruno Fernandes collected the Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year award and spoke generously about the process. Centre Devils reported his words in full. He said he is very happy to have won the award, but acknowledged that Declan Rice would also have been a deserving winner. He said there is no definitive best player in the league and that numbers play a large role in these kinds of decisions. He believes he had a brilliant season and was able to add elements to his game. He was complimentary about Rice, saying he still believes Rice is an amazing player and that he would have congratulated him if the award had gone the other way. This is class from Fernandes, winning one of the sport's individual honours and immediately using the platform to respect a rival and speak honestly about the difficulty of the decision. That kind of character in a club captain is not accidental. It reflects everything about the culture Fernandes represents at this football club. And finally, we return to where we began. Michael Carrick, Sunday, the final home game of the season against Nottingham Forest. Centre Devils reported that Carrick has confirmed he will address the supporters with a post-match speech on Sunday. His words in setting this up were deeply felt. He said it is important, regardless of the situation. He said it is important because of the supporters, and he thanked them for the season and for the support, particularly over the last 4 months. He acknowledged that people are asking about the future, but said that regardless of those questions, what matters is the connection that has been built between himself, the players, and the supporters. He said individual players have felt it, the group has felt it, and he said thanking the fans is simply the right and important thing to do. The situation is that Michael Carrick is preparing to speak to tens of thousands of Manchester United supporters on Sunday, with formal talks over a permanent contract already underway. He will stand on the Old Trafford pitch and say thank you. And whether the contract announcement comes before that moment or after it, the message he delivers will be the same. This is not the end of something. This is the beginning. He came in as an interim. He navigated a squad in difficult circumstances. He got results that nobody seriously expected. He guided this club back into the Champions League. He handled the Casemiro situation with dignity. He spoke honestly about building something that aims higher and higher. And now Sir Jim Ratcliffe has approved his appointment going forward. The evidence is clear. The direction is set. Manchester United under Michael Carrick are entering a new phase. The recruitment will shape how quickly this squad can compete at the very highest level. The names around Casemiro's replacement, whether that is Baleba, Hjulmand or Tchouameni, will define the midfield for the next several years. The development of talents like Gabriel will define the longer future still. But the foundation is in place. The manager is decided. The Champions League is secured. And Sunday at Old Trafford is the moment this chapter closes and the next one quietly opens. That is the full picture of where Manchester United stand on the 15th of May 2026. Stay subscribed to Adam United Analyst for every development as it comes. This channel does not chase clicks, it builds understanding. And right now, understanding what is happening at Manchester United has never mattered more.